see, double checking that this is all working. I think it is. Okay, so I have here a bunch of different things, but you can substitute a lot of this stuff with things that you have at your house. So I'm using like a fancy yoga chair, but you can use just any, dining room chair that you have, or even like a coffee table or a couch or a kind of lowish bed will work, basically to elevate the legs. So if you're using a chair that doesn't have a cushion on it, it's nice to throw a pillow or a towel or a throw blanket. If you have one of these yoga blankets, great on it just for comfort. And so I've got my chair set up here, and then depending on the lengths of your leg, so your femur is a set height, and the chair or whatever prop you're using to elevate your legs is also a set height. If this is taller than the length of your thigh bone, then you're going to want to support a little bit underneath your seat, which I know for me I need. And you can use blankets for that, pillows for that. Towels are great substitutes for yoga blankets. Like a nice beach towel really works. So I've got my blanket folded up here, and then I'm going to have my bolster back here. And this is where I want my bolster to end up landing, is right at the heart space. And then I'm going to fold up a couple of blankets to put on top of this block for my head. So you don't need to have block in the blankets, like that doesn't really matter. I'm looking though to elevate my head higher than the bolster. If you don't have a bolster, rolling up a towel, so taking like a beach towel and just rolling it up, and maybe even doing 2 of those can make it, or doing them folded in kind of like a long fold like this, doing 2 stacked on top of each other would make a bolster, or just a pillow or 2 from your couch or bed. All of those work. So we've got this support underneath our heart, and then we've got the block underneath the head. And so that looks okay. I think I'm going to maybe want one more back here, because I know my neck is enjoys a little bit more height. So I'm going to go ahead and put that back there preemptively. And then the last thing is you want to support your arms. So when we come back and we're going to take this kind of river shape, so we're creating this fluidity through our body. So the heart is rolling up towards the throat, the chin is rolling towards the chest, kind of creating this beautiful pool within our throat for our glands. And then we have our legs being able to be lifted, creating some ease for the heart. The lungs also being opened here with the back bend. But we don't want to have too much strain or stress on the shoulders, because we're going to be practicing this for a few minutes. And by a few minutes, I mean like 10 to 15. And so for me, what I found is that I needed to do kind of like a long fold and then a short fold. You don't have to have a blanket here to do this. You can, again, use pillows, towels, throw pillows, whatever you got. Whatever you do use underneath your arms, though, unless you're, no, I'm going to say that's actually not true. You want to make sure that they're even. Even if one side is more open than the other, you want to prop for the least open side. So you want them both to be equally high. We're not looking for a huge stretch here. You're just looking for the openness of the heart, and it doesn't need to be stretching, especially when we hold poses for a longer period of time. So, and then lastly, I have a strap. This is for supporting the legs to wrap around my thighs. It's kind of an added support. You don't necessarily need to have it, but if you want to, you can. And if you don't have a yoga strap, you can use like a scarf and just tie that around your thighs. Okay, it's a lot of props, and it feels like, oh, will it be worth it? It will. So I gotta adjust it all for my body length. And where I'm wanting that heart support is to be right below the sternum. So right at that very center of the chest. And then I want the head piece right underneath my head here, so that my gaze is actually towards my legs and not necessarily straight up at the ceiling, kind of looking diagonal, and that there is some flexion or in the neck or the chin moving towards the chest here. And then I have my arms set up on my props, and I'm going to use the strap around my legs for some support here. Just give a little bit more ease in hanging out here for this amount of time. And so as we practice this, at any point if you become uncomfortable and you need to adjust, it's okay to just move and adjust, right? So you don't have to stay stagnant. But with that being said, noticing the difference of, moving with intention and purpose, oh, this is really bothering me, and I'll be able to rest more deeply if I adjust this, versus just kind of mindlessly fidgeting, right? So just taking a moment and getting out any of your kind of wiggles here. Make any slight adjustments that you might need in order to practice this. And I'm actually going to move my arms a little lower because the wall's in the way for my one hand. But you can have your arms out, more wide if that's comfortable for you. I'm just today going to practice it with my arms a little bit lower. Start to notice the weight underneath the sacrum, the seat here. Any kind of little wiggles to allow the heads of the femurs, the thigh bones, to really settle into the joints. Take a nice full inhale here through the nose, a long exhale out through the mouth. Only softening. And so I'll be quiet for a while and kind of add in some thoughts on breath and softening the body throughout. But I'll have a few moments of just kind of extended quiet. So just trusting here and letting yourself soften into this quiet space. And like I said in the beginning, you're always welcome to stay longer than we stay. Or if you only have time for 3 or 4 minutes in this pose, take those 3 or 4 minutes. Just allowing your body to rest, even if it's just for a moment. You might start to notice any places that hold tension in the jaw. The cheeks. The forehead. Are you pressing your head into your support? Can you let the head be supported? Relaxing the neck. full inhale, long exhale here. And slowly start to notice your breath here. Keeping awareness to the center of the heart. And so without moving, just noticing what happens in the inhale as the chest lifts, expands. And the exhale, it falls. And feel into the lungs here. As you inhale, awareness into the widening, broadening action, expansion of the lungs. Yeah, exhaling them out. And you fall back, recede, settle in. And continuing like that, just simply watching movement of the chest, the heart, space, the lungs. You inhale, widening, broadening. Exhale, releasing, falling back in. Noticing if the belly moves along with this breath. And you're allowing the diaphragm to drop down, the belly to get big. And noticing if there's any tension within the tops of the shoulders, the neck as you inhale. And just seeing if you can encourage them to stay soft even as the breath comes in. So they naturally move as we breathe. It's not like we're trying to restrict the movement. There's a difference between movement and tension. And breaths don't have to be super big. We're just saturating the breath with our awareness. A few more moments like this. And the next exhale, you start to slowly move the hands anywhere that feels supportive. So maybe onto the chest or the belly. Take a few breaths there. And then we'll transition the legs into Baddha Konasana. So if you were using a strap or a scarf, you're going to want to slide it off. And you might keep the chair just where it is. And if you have kind of a back that's open, you might be able to hook your feet through. But for most of us, we're going to have to bring our feet slightly in. And in order for that to be comfortable, you're going to want to bring the chair just a little bit closer to you. And so we can use this strap again to kind of hold the legs here. It can be a little challenging. So I have my feet that can hook into the chair, which allows them to soften. But if you don't have it as an option, using a strap or a big scarf or belt and just placing it around the knees. So I just take a big loop and I thread it over my knees like this. And then it holds my knees in place. I'm just here for a few moments. I'm just experiencing a different shape. Here, this drops the head of the femurs in just a little bit deeper into the sockets of the pelvis. And gives the hip flexors and pelvis an opportunity to maybe soften a little bit more. And again, the hands can rest on the belly, or if it was comfortable, you can release them back out onto your blanket. Take a few breaths here. This time noticing within the base of the pelvis, noticing across the hip creases. Noticing any resistance to being held there, supported by the earth. And you don't even have to resolve that resistance, just noticing. And having a greater understanding of our bodies is using this practice as a way to somatically educate ourselves, or to learn more about how our bodies are, our unique and beautiful individual bodies. Helps to teach us how we hold tension and where we might need to pay attention more in cases of injury or chronic tension, but also too as indicators of, oh, here where my hip sort of tightens up, this indicates I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. And they become great guides, warning systems, giving us a heads up when we might need to take a break or soften a little bit further. Or once again, surrender. So much surrendering. It's a master course on surrendering 2020. And the next breath or so, bringing the hands back towards the chest or the belly, if they weren't there already. And then we'll take the arms up and overhead here, just giving that front of the body just this great big stretch. And then you'll bend the knees and move them together. I'm moving my chair a little bit away so that, because I scooted it closer, so I can get that opening through the front side of my body. You might soften, bend the elbows for a moment, just really opening through that front, stretching. And then when you're ready, you can gently move any strap or anything that's connected to you off to the side, and then turn onto your side body and pause there. If you bend the knees and kind of pull them into the chest, it should be pretty okay to do that. Just taking a few breaths here. Just noticing how you feel. And checking in. If you need to stay here longer, laying and taking a slow journey up to seat, more than welcome to. Just pause the video and go ahead and stay in transition as long as you need. Otherwise, when you're ready, you're going to slowly press yourself on up to a seat and come a little bit closer. Coming to a comfortable seat here, we'll bring our hands to the heart. The chair is real squeaky. Yeah, let the head bow in. And feeling your seat rooting into the earth. And the breath, noticing the heart space. Wide, expansive place that resides in each and every one of us. In the center of grace, receptivity, love. May you be receptive to grace. Namaste. Thank you, sweet, beautiful friends. Have a really wonderful rest of your day or evening, and I'll see you soon.